Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today, Masech is Bava, Batra, daf Nun Aleph. We're going to begin on the bottom of Nun Amud Beis with the word Gufa, getting back to what we said before. Amarav, Ein machzikim menichse eishes ish. So the din is that you cannot make a chazaka based on the possessions or the field that belongs to your wife. Now, the Gemara, as we saw in yesterday's daf, gave us two explanations what that means. It's possible that we're referring to the husband himself. Now, even though you would maybe think, well, if it's the husband, how do we understand that? Because even though he normally does have rights to eating the fruits, when it comes to him destroying the property, such as digging holes in a sada which shein asula baitis, it's not meant for that purpose. So the fact is, you would make a macha immediately, and therefore, in that case, the husband would be able to have a chazaka in that situation. Fine. That's one interpretation. Alternatively, we said that perhaps we're talking about that she sold the field, that the field was rather to someone else, and she still would need to protest someone else. For example, where this other person was there for at least a short amount of time, while the husband was there, just maybe a year. But normally, even though the wife would say, my husband should protest, I wasn't planning on making a macha, my husband's there. But what happens, the husband then died, and then he was still there for 3 more years, so then he has a migu that he could just say, listen, I bought it from you. He could have just said, I bought it directly from the wife, this woman. So therefore, in that situation, you could make a chazaka. Anyway, so that's what we saw in yesterday's now. So, ein machzikim nechsei eishes ish. So, the daini goyul amru machzikin. So according to the dayanim and goyul amru, the Rashbam says that Shmuel and Karna, as it's mentioned in the first parak in the Sanhedrin, they said that you actually could make a chazaka, and therefore she should have made a macha. So Amarav halacha kedaini hagoyul. The halacha is actually like that. So Amali Rav Kahana Rav Asi Rav Hadir Be Mar B'Shmaisei. Perhaps you retracted. So Amalhu Mistabra Amri Kid Rav Yosef. It's actually Mistabra like Rav Yosef. Says the Rashbam, Heicha Dahavi Mixas Chazaka B'Chai Bala. What was the statement of Rav Yosef? So we just said it. That in the event that the second answer, that he was the husband was still alive for a short amount of time, and then afterwards he died, and then 3 years go by, then in that situation, so she should have made a macha, and that's a situation that it would be a chazaka because he would have migu. So he said that a woman will not be able to have a chazaka in her husband's property. Now, for the Gemara Pshita, that's pretty obvious, because after all, Kivani is la mezayni, since the husband has a chiv of providing mezainis for his wife, so mezayni hu de ka'achla. You can just say, this is not her field. Why did you make a macha? Because I have a chiv mezainis. I have to provide mezainis for my wife. So therefore, I just let her eat from some peros. I let her eat some fruits from the field. So therefore, obviously, it's a davar pasha that she shouldn't be able to make a chazaka. So after the Gemara, l'tzricha diachlu ora achriti l'mezayna. So this is the Rashbam. Bal karka achriti l'mezaynis. This field was not designated for her to have any mezona. She was not supposed to eat from this field. She was supposed to eat from a different field. B'afil hachi, says the Rashbam, will kapid bal i'achat fei. He doesn't really care if his wife's going to eat more. So, okay, this field is where you're supposed to eat from, and maybe she did. Now she's eating from another field as well. Okay, so she wants a little bit more. Hilkach leise chazaka. So therefore, it's not a chazaka. Now, as we saw before, she cannot create a chazaka just based on being there for a few years. Hara yesh, says Rashbam, im yesh la shtar mechira. Let's say she's able to produce a document saying that her husband sold her this field, so that would be apparently a good enough proof that in fact he did sell it to her. In fact, the Gemara says the Rashbam, maybe the only reason why he gave this shtar is, and is not because he really wanted to sell her this field. Says the Rashbam, Mois had timni mimeni. Can you imagine a wife was hiding money from her husband? And my intention was to be able to figure out what this money was. So I devised this plan. And my goal was really to take the money which was really mine, right? She hid my money. So I didn't really want to sell it. So she gave me money, but it was really my money, and it was just for me to be able to figure out where my money was that she was hiding from me. And therefore I pretended that, oh yeah, I'll sell you this field. But it was really Guli Milsuhu the boy. So why can't he make this taina? So Shemamina Hamaycher Sala Ishtai Kansa. We can see from here, if a person sells a field with a star and everything, even though it's a machlokus, we'll see later on, he's not allowed to make that taina. Even though again it's a machlokus, apparently this is proof that he cannot say Guli Milsuhu the boy, and it would be a good mechir to the wife. Lo, that's not necessarily a proof. What do you mean? It's seemingly harayesh. Ema harayesh b'shtar matana. Maybe the only time it's a raya is dafka if she produces a star that says it was gifted to her. So obviously, in that case, the hasim gomer v'nasim law, the lake of guli zuzi. If you're giving a gift means there's no money. So you can't obviously make that taina of a guli milsuhu boy because there's no money being exchanged. Masha'enkin, when it would be a case of just a shtar mechira, maybe that taina would work. Amr Rav Nachman Rav Huna. So Rav Nachman said to Rav Huna, Lo yihavi mar gabon be'orta betchuma. You were not with us yesterday within our boundaries, says Rashbam, in the Bati Medrasha Shalhen B'Seif Atchum. The base medrash used to be outside of the Tchum. Kedei Shiachol Lavoy Sham B'Shabbos Min Yoresh B'Saviv. Interesting. They used to strategically place a base medrash in a place where people would be able to get there on Shabbos. So there wouldn't be any issue of Tchum Shabbos. So that's why it's called, base medrash is called Betchuma. The Amrinan Milim El Yosa, that there was something beautiful said. Jamalei my Milim El Yosa, what was said? Shamisa Hamaycher Sanal Ishtai Kansa. We actually said over there that if a husband sells a field to his wife, it's taka good kinyan. V'loy Amrinan Guli Zuzu Hudaboy. And we ended up saying that the husband cannot have this taina later on of Luguli Milsa. So it's a pretty interesting thing. Shamalei said, Pshita Dal Zuzi Mihacha. So he said, it's simple. Take the money, lift up the money from here. V'tikni b'shtara. And she should be able to be kind from a star. Milotna nachram nachasim sheishem achrayis nikni b'kesem b'shtar v'chazaka. So the fact that she has a star, that in itself should be enough. Says the Rashbam, Heichadika star mechira, if ligului zuzi mechavin, but kabbalas hamois havi kinyan gomer. It should still be a kinyan, and this taina obviously shouldn't work. Just lift up and remove the way of being kind with kesef, and just say the fact that she has a star, then itself works. Skipping a couple lines of a gabi star mechira l'shaycha meimrahachi elohari hu kishtar matana da kol moedin boy. Okay, of lavadi gomer v'aknil. It must be the fact that he gave her a star means it was a good sale. V'holeka remember to ilu kasav lo star lo havi zuzi. You can't say no. The truth is, I really didn't want to write her a star, but if I didn't write her a star, she was never going to give me the money. Lo kasav lo star lo havi zuzi v'guli zuzim eschav, and I still just wanted to get the money. Gam b'ksiva sashtar de kol kach lo masik inish adaite. That far we're not going to go. A person may say l'guli zuzu the boy, maybe not. That's a machlokas. But to go out of your way and to actually write a star, that much you're not going to do, and then be able to afterwards say, oh, it wasn't really a good sale. So then you wouldn't have written such a thing. If all you want to do was to be able to get her money, which is really your money. Okay. So Valav Itmarla, but didn't we learn on that when it says it was a star? Mishmul Lo Shanu, the only time that the star works, Els Bishtar Matana. If the star alone is kinda, if it's a star which is gifting land. Avol Bishtar Mecher Lo Kana Ad Shitan Lo Dameha. They actually need to have given money. So you wouldn't be able to say what you just said. Says the Rashbam. Because the field is star machira kaimer, the kani bulun the sinus mois. To give on the customer is star machira, and yachon oid laxabo bezel mois chayav olikach limchor. But we learned that that's only by a star matana, not by a star mecher. Va moisiv Rav Amnuna. But one second, didn't Rav Amnuna actually ask this question? He said like this: B'shtar ketzad kasavu al nair. When it comes to the din of shtar, how does it work? You write on a piece of paper, a nair. Oyel cheres on earthenware, some pottery. Alpha b'shem bo sheva pruta. Doesn't have to be sheva pruta, because if it is a sheva pruta, then it has the din of kesef. And you say the language, and here's the key words: Sadi mechor. This field is sold to you. Sadi kanuya. Harzu mechor nesuna. It says it's sold and given. So we see clearly that it doesn't just work by a mechira, by a nesina. It's even by a mechira. Says the Rashbam, Dahi vade gomer maknim yad b'shtar mois al havi malvigab b'loikech. Okay. Anyway, the point is that what are you talking about? That this din only applies to a shtar matana. We see beferish that it works by a mecher as well. So on this, the Gemara says, "V'lavu moisevla v'bafarikla." He asked and he answered the question. Mamercha said it sedeu mipnei ru'asa. They sold the field because of its poor quality of land. Let's look at the Rashbam. So this is brought down in Masechtas Kedushin that why? Let's see this. Actually, this brisa is not talking about a shtar mecher at all. It's talking about a gift. Sometimes, even though it's a gift, we still may write the language that of it being a sale of sada mechorla. Why would a person do that? Says the Rashbam, to be able to strengthen the person who's getting this gift. If there's any complaints about this land, Yavo HaNaisein, the one who, the giver, the Naisein can come, he can actually take upon himself the Naisein, the one who received the thing, the field, as though he's the one who it was sold. It doesn't mean, it's really just talking about a gift, because a shtar by itself only works by shtar matana. So it says by mechira, because it was really not a mechira. There was really no money's exchange. He only did it in order to strengthen this gift, to say that if someone would take it away, that I would still have to reimburse you. Also, there's no din de bar metzra, as we saw in Bava Metzia toward the end. Matana leis ba mishum din de bar metzra. Behind the ika yifui koyach de mecher udamana. So this is another interesting point, that if you have a field, you can't just sell it to someone off the street. You have to first give your neighbor, the one who is the adjacent property, the first rights to buy it. It's called din de bar metzra. But that's only by a mecher. But if you're gifting it to someone, you can give it to someone. So therefore, on some level, if it's a matana, it's not good, because you're really not allowed. If it's a mecher, so then there's a din de bar metzra. But it's a matana, there's no din de bar metzra. So that's the idea. Okay, question 6. Tanya b'shtar ketzad kasav nair said a mechura l'cha was sold, so it's a mechira. Ketzad tirtzim gemara the lo tikshu brayso de Shmuel. Yermer b'shtar mecher lo kana ad shitan lo dameha. So how do you understand this? So there's actually 2 answers. So far we only saw one, but let's see the first one. So Bryce Amayr b'moicha sedeu mibnei ru'asa. We're talking about that he sold the field because of its low quality. Actually, we did see both of them. Okay, that was answer number 1. I think we went a little bit too far in the Rashbam before we saw the full answer. So really, it was a mechira, but you sold it. It was poor land. Rav Ashi Amar Mamatana Bikesh Litnalo. You really want to give as a gift, So why did you write as a mecher? So we spent more time explaining the second answer, that really it was a matana, but you did it in order to be able to, you did it in order for this person to be able to have extra strengths, extra rights. So there's a achrayis on it. And again, the first answer is that the Bryce is talking about that you sold your field because it is of low low quality, which is probably the same question as TB6. So let's see what I wrote. So in this case, this is how interesting way I explained it, is that normally there has to be a kabbalas mois. However, if it's a poor quality field, the guy just wants to unload the thing, and therefore, even if it's not of high quality, since it's not of high quality, he just wants it to be chal immediately, just with the star, without receiving monies. Or else that I wrote, Zek kaisav kadei liafos as kaicho kemecher v'yish achrayis v'gam, kamatana ve'ein din debar metzra, says the Rashbam, avul zeh be'emes nasim b'matana. Pardon me. So that's the another explanation. All right, that was TB6. Okay. Let's just see this. Okay. All right. Forgive me, I'm not 100% healthy here. Rabbi Masayba Mishmid Rav Nachman again. Ravashi Yemer Matan Vikishli Nalava Kasav Lablash Mecher is Kedil Yafos Koichai. Okay, so those are the two answers. And this is also brought down almost verbatim Masechtas Kedushin. Meisvei. Loivim in Eved. Let's say you borrow money from your own slave. Says Rashbam, the cost of star milva vishabid lo nechasav. So you actually wrote a star, and there's a lien for this loan. And then what ended up happening is v'shichroi. He ended up becoming freed. Oh ha'isha. Let's say you borrowed money from your wife, a girsha, and she got divorced. Ein lehem alav klum. They will not receive anything. My time will mishum dermin l'gulizuzu the boy. Maybe the truth is that he never borrowed money from them. It was just a way to be able to find out whether or not they had money. And it turned out the Evan maybe stole money, which was his wife had money, so he wanted to figure out where it was. So apparently we see that this is not a good loan, because he could claim, I never borrowed money from them. It was just, I just wanted to figure this out, where my money was. Yeah, maybe that's true, but Shani Hasam do nichle l'shavi nafshi even level ish malve. There's a difference by a love. We say a person wouldn't do this, but maybe it's still a good mecher. In other words, when a person would not want to put themselves in the situation of being like an eved. That's interesting. You're borrowing from your eved and you become an eved. Anan Sahadi says the Rashbam, the Shum Adam Lui Hebrew Tsainai Eved Loiven. No one would want to put themselves in a situation of borrowing money. Im Yachol Hi Pater B'Shum Inyan. If there's any way out. The Hilkach Ikol Memrel Guli Zuzuhu the boy. Therefore, maybe when it comes to that, we can say Guli Zuzuhu the boy. Okay. Shalach Rav Huna Baravin. Hamaycher Sadel Ishtai. A person sells a field to his wife. Kansa. We say that is a good sale, which obviously, again, we do not say Luguli Zuzu the boy, which is going to be our point we're bringing here. So it's a good kinyan, as we continue to Nun Alpha Mid Beis, Paris. But the interesting thing is that the husband can still eat the Paris, says the Rashbam, because it should not be any different when it comes to Nichse Malug, where she brings in property, where she owns the land. The husband has rights to the Paris. So therefore, if the wife sold, if the field was sold to his wife, let's say the man sold his own field to his wife, so then the din is that in fact it would be a kinyan, and husband sold it to the wife. but he can still eat the fruits. Bam Rabbi Abba Rabbi Bava Chol Gadol Hador Amru B'matana Bikish Litnula. Really, he wanted to give it to her as a gift. So why did he write it as a mecher? Again, it was just in order to strengthen her. So in other words, maybe when it comes to an actual, same point, maybe when it comes to an actual mecher, we will say Luguli Zuzu the boy, it would not be a good kinyan. Over here it was actually a matana, but he just wrote it this way for her. Meisvei, fact the Gemara, loibim in eved v'shir churum in isha v'girsha ein lehem no love klum. So my time, la misham diar meguli zuzu the boy. So this is what we asked before, that when it comes to borrowing money in that situation, it's clear that it doesn't work because you could make this taina. So how come over here when it comes to the husband that he can't say this taina? So shani hasam deloy l'shavi inish eved loy v'lishmal. As we said, similar thing, that a person is not going to put themselves into that position to make himself like that he borrows money if he doesn't have to borrow money. So it must be when it comes to the case of a loiva, then we'll say the din is that it's not a kinyan. It will zuzu the boy. Mashenkin, when it comes to a mecher, maybe we would say that. Omarav hamaycher sali ishtay kansa v'bal chaperes, which you just said. But matana kansa. However, when it comes to a gift, even though it's a kinyan, if he gives her this gift, v'nabal chaperes. The fact that he gave it to her, he no longer has rights to it. Why? Says the Rashbam, the noisin ba'ayin yafen noisin. When a person gives, him those machlokas, as we saw before, when it comes to a husband giving to his wife, it's ba'ayin yafe. And therefore, as he gives her this land as a gift, he also is not going to have the fruits. It will be hers. Rabbi Lezer oimer echad zeh v'echad zeh kansa. Either case, again, it is a kinyan v'ein abal lechaperes. Not only in the case of a matana, but also by the case of a mecher. The din is, even though again maybe you would think it shouldn't be any, as the Rashbam said, the blood garb nechasim shenafal ab Yerusha. Nonetheless, according to the Shita, Rabbi Lezer says no, he's not allowed to eat fruits in this case either. Avid Rav Chisda uvda Rav Lezer. So Rav Chisda actually did in accordance to Rabbi Lezer, and he said there was a good kinyan, and the husband was able to eat the fruits. Amalei Rabbi Ukva, Rav Nechemia b'nei ben Nasi de Rav or Rav Chisda. So they pose a question to Rav Chisda. Oh, great that you did this. Shavik Mar Ravari V'Ovid Kazutri. Understand? How could you end up doing like the small, like Rebbe Lezer Shahid Talmidu Shav Yochanan? You discarded Rav Yochanan Shita, and all of a sudden, instead, you ended up paskening like Rebbe Lezer, who is his student. Ananami Karavri Abdi. No. I'm not going only after this Shita. We also have support that his teacher said the same thing. The Chiyasa Rabin Amar Rav Yochanan. Rav Yochanan said, Echad zeh v'echad zeh konsav, v'enabal lechaperes. So therefore, Rav Yochanan, actually says Rashbam, Rav Yochanan shahaya chaveru shel Rav, who were colleagues. Rav Yochanan and Rav are considered like equals in some sorts, or as a chaver. So he actually says that it's not true, that the husband's not allowed to eat fruits, which is the same thing Rebbe Lezer said. But it wasn't saying I didn't paskin because Rebbe Lezer said it, but because that's what Rav Yochanan said. Amar Rabbi Hilchasa, at the end of the day, what's the halacha? Amaycha said li'ishto lo kansa. If a person sells a field to his wife, it's not a kinyan because, again, the husband can say Guli Zuzehu the boy. V'abal oicha peris. And therefore, the husband can continue to eat the fruits. But matana, if he gave a gift to her, kansa, it is a kinyan, and he can't say Guli Zuzu the boy because there's no money in question over here. It's a gift. Ve'enabal chaperis, and the husband will not be able to eat the fruits. So, Fret Gemara tarti says the Rashbam bitmia. It seems a little bit perplexing. Shnei devarim shel Rabba saisim zed zeh. If you think about it, these two statements are actually contradictory. Lo kansa, the fact that it says that it's not a kinyan, when it comes to the case of Tamarcha Sadl Ishto, it's not a kinyan, mashma lo gufel paris. Obviously, it means that she did not, the field does not belong to the wife, and also not the fruits. Why? Because the guli zuzu the boy, and it was nothing. V'abal oicha paris. So the fact that it says but we allow the husband to eat the fruits, is mashma shekansa guva karka, the lavla guli zuzu the boy. This one statement seems contradictory, because if you hold that it's not a kinyan, so then if it's not a kinyan, then obviously the husband eats the fruits. The fact that it says vabal oichel peros is mashma, it sounds like it was a kinyan, that she gets the karka and he gets the fruit. So how do you understand that? So ukasha, kan b'mois temunin, kan b'mois she'en temunin. It depends if the monies are hidden or not. The Rabbi Yehuda mois temunin lo kansa. If the monies that she has are hidden, it's not a kinyan, because when her money was hidden, she isn't kainit, because we could say his intention was in order to reveal this money. So you can say when it comes to a mecher, the gulium milsa the boy, when there is money hidden, it becomes revealed, and therefore it's not a kinyan, and therefore obviously he gets the fruits. She doesn't get anything. She doesn't get the karka or anything. However, the other case is she'en temunin kansa. In moist she'en temunin kansa. If we're dealing with monies which are not hidden, which has the money right in front, so you can't say Luguli Milsa the boy, because everyone already knows that she has this money. So therefore, in that case, it is a kinyan. The husband's sale to the wife is a good sale, but again, he still has rights to the peros, because it's no different than any other field that comes biyarusha. So good question 7. Hamaycher sadal ishto o nasan matana. A person gives a field to his wife or as a gift. Heim kansa, is it a kinyan? Ve'im bal oichel peros maskana. So as we just said, so hamaycher sadal ishto. If you sold a field and the monies are hidden, then it's not a kinyan, because you can say legui mils zuzu the boy. If it's monies that were not hidden, then it's a kinyan. However, the husband can still eat the fruits, as we said. When it comes to a matana, it's a kinyan, because obviously in that situation you can't say legui zuzu the boy, because in that case you're not dealing with money; it was a gift. However, if it says ve'en abal oicha peros, the husband cannot do so, because the Rashbam said, the naisen ba'ayin yafe naisen. Adkan.